Today's episode of Coffee and Chel is sponsored by Gamersaloon. If you are looking to have the best place for wager matches in essentially any video game, Gamersaloon is the place to do it. They are the sponsor of our podcast. I also need to note that there was an audio issue with me personally in the video version of this podcast. So if you're watching it for whatever reason, I'm ahead. It looks like I'm in, some crazy English dub video. I apologize. Kessel and Padre are fine, but please ignore that. I know it was an issue, and I'm sorry. Hope you guys enjoy the episode. Hey guys, welcome into episode 55 of Coffee and Chel, the podcast. I'm your host, Sleeves, joined by my two co-hosts, Padre and Kesso. Today, we are going to break down the latest event in Hockey Ultimate Team, as well as a bunch of other stuff that has happened in the world of Chel over the last week. But we'll start. I mean, that was
terrible.
That was
pun.
clever. That was more clever than I.
Wow,
needed
that was awful. I couldn't even take you serious.
Yeah, well done by me. Padre, how many trees you got up in your house right now?
We have 4. And
That's just
it's not my call, so it's one of those things where it's like I just get them out of the basement and bring them up, and then she sets them up. So, but part of it, we haven't really bought any of our trees. Like my mom, she's really into Christmas, so she gave us like this one because she didn't want it. Like, and like my wife's like, okay, I'll take it, and then she puts it like in the window, and I'm like, well, whatever. So it's like it's really not that bad, honestly, putting it together because they make them so well now. Like you don't have to put lights on them anymore; they're built in. All you do is just pop them in, and you're done.
The Kessel, are you immediately it flips over from Halloween to November 1st? You're like Christmas spirit, or are you like?
We really like. I mean, my wife likes Thanksgiving. I think like we wait a couple of weeks before that, so I'm assuming we'll do the trees like soon. I think November 1st with the trees is absolutely insane.
Early.
Dude, we were in the car the other day. We have was it Sirius XM radio? Does anybody have that?
Not anymore, but yeah.
Oh, dude, it's great. It's great.
Me too.
And like in the car, my wife has our like preset stations, and like the last page is like empty a little bit, and there was like 3 blank spots, and then she's like, "Did you see what happened?" And so we went to that last page, and like the Holly Jolly channel was like pre-populated. I'm like, oh god, dude, they started with it. Dude, how old are we, by the way? I'm complaining about Christmas songs in like November. Like this is the ultimate old guy complaining thing.
So like this is what I brought up. So I went and got my hair cut today. My barber's very like, I don't even like December 23rd I'll put my tree up. And I'm like, well, dude, that's just not the spirit. And then I got to like thinking, the day is like okay, you get like, you with your family and you open up your presents. So like dopamine's high usually. Like it's tough. There's a lot of people out there that don't have a great Christmas. So, it's unfortunate with that struggle, but for the most part, I mean, it's usually it's hard to have a bad time, I guess would be it's an easy holiday to have a good time. I think I'm more about like the lead up. Like I enjoy like the cozy, trees up, fireplace is on in like early December, like the night I go take the dog for a walk. It's brisk, but there's snow on. I don't know.
Yeah, it's nice. We had the fireplace going tonight, so it's gonna be like hot as hell whenever I walk out there.
Oh, and dude, summer, like we turned it on for the first time because it got really cold. Really cold. Actually, yeah, it's probably colder where I am than you guys are.
What's the temperature?
Right now, like 3 degrees.
Yeah, we have to do this calculation.
I'm not doing this math. It's not 0 yet. Very close.
Okay, so I think it's colder here, or the same temperature.
It will. So like in Niagara, this is like 8 days ago. We had a day that hit 24, which is like, I think it's 80. And this is like normal.
Yeah.
This is like it'll be like one random day at very end of October, early November, and it'll be like shorts. And then when it is cold though, when it like in Canada, when it gets cold, there's like a week where it's just does not stop snowing. You can't go outside without just full mittens and like your heavy duty boots. Can't handle it.
I wore shorts last week, and now last night it snowed here.
Yeah, like it's not. We haven't seen snow yet. I haven't.
Ours is like a wet snow, so it was like my daughter.
That's what we got today. Yeah.
She was all excited and wanted to go sledding, and by the time she was done eating breakfast, it melted. It's like
I'm excited for. So when we had summer, she was like 5 months old when last year when it, and like when it snows, there'll be no snow all of November. Then like one weekend we'll get like 3 feet in like the span of like 48 hours. And so I I remember this one. I have this one video where I'm like throwing her into the snowbank and stuff, and now that she's like a full grown dog and she can like wrestle back and like I'm excited to just toss her in the snowbank when we get a huge snowfall. But that's enough about the weather and the holidays. All right, we got biggies to talk about. We got a new event, and we got a new weekend full of hilarious bugs. And we got a new patch. There's a lot to talk about. So let's start with the milestone event that was released in Hockey Ultimate Team. First of all, this isn't 16-bit. It kind of made sense. You know, milestones. It's hard to mess up milestones. However, they did choose some very obscure ones. Like if you look at, so Zabinajad was one of them. It's like 6 points in a game.
That's one period.
Yeah, which is nuts.
Yeah.
But it's like a very shoehorned, like, hey, we need a New York Ranger MSP. Let's make it Zabinajad. Quick, find me a milestone.
Dude, they would have, if they had to search harder, be like, yeah, he had 12 hits in the third period of like if they really had to dig, yeah.
We're getting like a Cal Clutterbuck next week, and it's gonna be like 15 hits in December of 2014. So let me ask you this. I said this in a video, and maybe I've got maybe I'm being overly critical here. Have we just not gotten a ton of OEL the past few years?
Yes. I complained about that.
I'm right I'm right on that?
I complained about that, and one of our nice friends from EA actually replied to me about it and told me we have to make some meta cards. And he goes, and there's just not many meta guys to make. I guess defenseman, right? So
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like listen, I'm in the I don't know. It's HUT, right? And it's kind of goofy. Like the overalls always don't translate to what the real player is anyways. I'm in the camp of having some like fun guys, like for your sake, Mario Ferraro. Can we give him an 89 MSP? Pick like.
Whoa, no. So the only reason I disagree is because we've had this last year before you joined the podcast here, Padre.
Eric Brandstrom.
Me and Sleeves are on video, on tape, saying what's up with these random MSPs. Like, where are the good players?
But
so
Brandstrom was an under 22 though, and he had a high ceiling.
Let me ask you. Okay, here's the baseline of what me and Kessel came up with for who should be a master set selection. This is a good topic to talk about. And if you're listening to this video on YouTube, in the comments, let me know if we're way off, if you like it, whatever, because it's all personal preference.
Right.
So my view, especially when the MSP or X Factors were released last year, my view on what an MS or an MSP should be is a non-X Factor, because they already have, for the most part, at some point you should recognize them, but especially early on in the year.
Yeah.
A non-X Factor, very high-end player.
Okay.
So if we're doing Arizona, right, like they gave OEL the Arizona version because they need to give Arizona, like, MSPs, right? It'd be like,
Keller.
Awful, this shit. Yes, Keller's the only option. So Clayton Keller.
But he's not meta. That's the problem.
Yeah, but I don't think that they're gonna. I think that every once in a while they want to make sure that there's cards.
They did Chikrin last year, remember?
Yes.
I have no problem. Here, I agree. I'm on board with you. I'm just saying, but they've set the precedent already that MSPs can be almost anybody. We had Zach Cassian last year or the year before. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's why I'm under the impression that they don't care about per se who it exactly is. That's why I said that. But I agree with you, Sleazy. I 100% think it should be good players or star players, because
I do.
You got to sell packs too.
I do think, yeah, because like the danger you run in is if you make it like, because the first thing is gonna be like, who cares with the meta, which for the most part it's like, yeah, that shouldn't be the focus on all of it. But it is nice that they do have a card or two of like the release that does fit like what the Division 1 and Division 2 guys are looking for, because that gets you excited for the chase. Like if you release lame cards, which they've done before, it's like, man, it's like, why am I excited about that? You know what I mean? Like it's like that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, like I'm trying to think of what would be an example of like the Zabinajad he's a great card,
and he's a great player. I like him a lot,
and a very good player. Hillary Knight is a fine selection. I mean, if they're highlighting a female player, man, just don't highlight Marie-Philippe Poulin because her card is unstoppable. It is like the card I struggle with the most for some random reason. Patrick Waugh, man, goalie MSPs are so bad.
They're just lame.
Like they just it sucks because you have to recognize them. You know what I mean? Like it'd be poor if they don't. But man, yeah. So I did not make him yet. I was gonna make him on the God Squad maybe because it's like the only position I don't have like a top tier card. And I got just flooded with like this thing is awful, and that sucks. So that's not very fun.
Mhm.
Week two, interested to see. We're definitely getting right shot defensemen and left-handed wingers, which is huge because I think that outside of Letang, unless you have the team builders or like the extremely expensive X factors like Makar, there isn't really any great right-handed defensemen. On my no money spent team, that's what I'm like running into. Like there's not that like, if you don't go Letang and you went Byram and McCann, which I think is probably the play, there hasn't been a really, really good right-handed defenseman yet. So I'm excited to see who that is. I don't know. Maybe it's gonna be Brent Burns. It's gonna be.
He's having
Brent
a great
Burns.
year. I hope it is him.
Yeah, it's gonna be Brent Burns. But yeah, they also released a new type of card that we hadn't seen yet, which is awesome. It is a card that upgrades once they hit a certain milestone for this event. It gets Master Set card art. So I don't know if they messed around with the dates and when they were going to have this event come out, but or if they just wanted to use it as an example. Chris Kessel, Phil Kessel got they released him, Ben, and Edler, and when they hit a certain peak of games played, when they hit the games played milestone, when Phil Kessel hit the 990 and consecutively, his card went from 83 bumped up to an 89 Master Set player. Love that. Like, I really think that's a cool new thing. So Ben and Edler, when they get to 89, they're at 83 right now. When they play their 1,000th games in the NHL, they'll get Master Set card art. Now, at the time when that happens, they're not going to be as sought after. I think the earliest for Edler is December 21st or 18th, which is not bad for having 89. But Ben, if he doesn't miss any games, I think isn't until February 3rd. And that's an 89. You're not going to be that jazzed about it, but they're rare. Like Phil Kessel's going for 500K right now.
Which makes no sense.
It's exclusivity. It's flex.
Yeah.
Like that. So, and I think that there needs to be some of those cards like Lemieux and Gretzky. That's what they are. They're not worth 1.5 million.
No.
No card is worth 1.5 million except for maybe Connor's X Factor, because eventually you can turn that into
Team of the year.
His Team of the Year card. But at some point.
Can we talk about how slow the Kessel is compared to what we thought he would be? 90. So with Workhorse, he's 90 Excel, 88 speed. I thought that would be the type of card, considering we have base cards that are faster, like Taylor Hall. Just because of Kessel in years past has always been you look at Phil Kessel's body, and I don't know how that guy hums around the ice the way he does, but he does. There's something about him.
I think I don't know if it's the same because they've been messing around with me and Kessel came up with that build thing in the summertime when we just had way too much time on our hands.
Right.
And I've actually got to give them props because they've released some prime times and Team of the Weeks where they went in and they manually adjusted some of their their stats.
And I have to say, I think that's because of our, I don't want to say pressure the past couple years, but we've been pretty vocal about that.
Yeah, at least they haven't acknowledged that to us personally, but it just seems like that's because that was random that they started doing that. But I don't know if some of their master sets they just have to blanket go up, right? Yeah. So Phil Kessel's card now, he's not the same as he was, on Vegas. He's not the same as he was in Boston or Toronto, right? So
that's true.
I'm thinking that's why his card isn't as impressive. But yeah, he's going for 500K right now because he's just so rare. And I think that having a very limited amount of those kinds of cards is kind of fun for the game because it gives you, like I said, you get scored on by that. That's a card where you're yeah, you're gonna watch that replay. You're gonna see that thing pop up, and I don't think there's many of those in the game. So. I hope to see more like that. So I don't know what the next events could be, but if they do a rookie event, if let's say we got to talk about this. We'll talk about this a little bit more in the alumni, but there's some issues with headshots. We've seen this in the past where this isn't on EA, but if the team doesn't send in headshots to the player, they can't add them into the game really. But I believe back in NHL 21, when Nicholas was the content dev, now it's EA Hawk and Moose, he came up with a way around that because Kaprizov, they couldn't get him in the game because during the COVID year, he came over, but they didn't obviously take all the season started late. They didn't get the headshots, the team pictures, all of that. And what he ended up doing is they made a master set card art of it was an illustration. It was photoshopped, whatever. Like it was actually done by a designer, and that's a way of getting around not having the headshot. So I don't know if Matty Beniers doesn't have one, and I don't know about Power, but I'd be willing to bet there's a rookie event, and if later on in the year that maybe has them.
Oh baby.
It'd be really cool to see if like there was rookie guys that let's say they hit 20 points, 20 or 30 points, like something like that, and then they shoot up like that Michelli guy. We talked about him on the real podcast.
Yeah.
That Arizona guy who's leading the Calder or leading the rookies in points. I think that'd be really cool. Or maybe Mason McTavish has if he hits 35 points or 40 points, he jumps up to like a 93 or whenever it is later on in the year. I think that would be. I just want them to keep doing that. Like what they did with Edler, Ben, and Kessel, phenomenal job. You have to give them credit when they try new stuff and it works.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't, and we flame them for it. When they do positive things, you got to give them some credit. And for the most part, I think the content team has been pretty good.
The more they tie in real hockey, the better, I think.
That obviously, that's why the Evo event's been my favorite.
The Edler, will I use them? Maybe, I don't know. The Ben, probably not, like you said. But it's cool. It's cool something for a guy that pulls it untradeable, and then he gets to watch. Maybe he'll go watch, or sit there and have his fingers crossed every night, make sure they play their games. Yeah.
I mean, I'm already. I said during the Evo event, like the choices this year, they were very obscure, more than they were in the past, and there wasn't really like a home run like Duchesne. But dude, I said Stutz was the best one because it epitomizes the event and what it's supposed to be. I was sitting there the other night watching the third period of the Ottawa game, and he scored an empty netter, and I was like, "Let's go! There it is. That's an 82." And that's the whole point of that event. Dobson, by the way, I was talking. An Islander fan came into my chat, and I was like, "What?" He was like, "What do you think of Dobson?" I was like, "I don't like defenseman Evos because we saw it last year. Like Morgan Riley or Pionk was a master set. He scored during the event, and everyone rushed out, and he didn't score again for like 3 months. And that's just what happens with some of the defensemen, right? Like they can go forever, especially when they pick the ones like Fowler, who usually only scores about 5 goals a season. He just might not score. But I guess so. The Dobson one, I don't watch a lot of Islander games, and I guess like he has the only one with like a really good shot from the back end, and he's taking all of them right now.
Yeah.
So he's going for like a milli. And that's the most, like, that's the high point.
Yeah.
But if he falls to like 800K, like if he goes 2 weeks without a goal, if he's 6'4" and has 87 speed, every goal for a defenseman, they go up by +2 overall, but their speed goes up by 1. It's guaranteed to go up by 1. So if he scores 2 more goals, he's got 90 speed and he's 6'4". Like that's an end game.
I almost pulled the trigger on 2 of his because he was listed like 650 the other day.
Yeah.
And I saw that he was on the top power play because I was looking at all of them and like Cam Fowler. He's not going to hit this year with Klingberg on the top unit on the power play because it was like
I don't think
Fowler had like 9 goals last year, 6 of them were on the power play, and that's just not going to happen.
Ton, but yeah, the problem with Anaheim is there's no one because like they lost Drysdale.
Yeah,
like their decor is like I think Klingberg. There's no way Klingberg finishes the year there.
No,
we talked about me and Padre talked about.
He'll get traded. By the way, real quick, Noah Dobson looks like a babyface Kessel. I'm looking at his picture right now.
He does a little bit,
and he looks like you, Kess. I'm not gonna lie, just without any facial hair.
Picture
again. And real quick too, Dylan Strome. That might be. I think
that's a good one too.
I think Kessel, one of our buddies, Nathan. Give him a shout out. He was kind of talking about how you were looking at all the different guys, and he said Strome. And I mean, I just look at like meta guys, obviously, and just the situation that is in Washington right now with no Backstrom, and you play with Ovechkin, you just never know. I mean, so I don't know, but that was another one I liked.
No, that's good. I will continue saying this, but it sounds like I don't know if I influenced the market on this or there's just not a lot because the event was like he's been out of pack for so long. Pavel Mintyukov is like a slam dunk.
Can't even find him.
Yeah, like you won't. I don't think you'll find him anymore because he's already popped off. Like I think he's in the 80s now. He leads the OHL in goals, and he will continue for defenseman. And again, I've seen them play. I've seen them play live, which is kind of cool. But it's just the way the OHL is. Like major junior, if a defenseman is drafted and good, especially offensive, like all the kids do is feed him. So like he's gonna take every shot possible. So he's a pretty easy slam dunk that I think, and he'll be good. So before we get into what happened on the weekend with all the bugs and whatnot. Let's give a shout out to a sponsor for today's podcast, Gamersaloon. If you guys are looking to go head to head and look for some insane competition, win yourself some money in wager matches, Gamersaloon is the place to do it. If you are looking for NHL money games, definitely go and take a look at Gamersaloon. The link is down below. And you can sign up. They do run a lot of power hours where they'll match what you pay and everything like that. So
you get like a free $10 match they did a couple weeks ago, which is awesome.
Exactly. So I know they're trying to get into some creative stuff with NHL, so make sure you pay attention. But check out Gamersaloon. Again, link is down below. All right, so let's get into what happened on the weekend, which is a little controversial because I don't know if I messed up and I don't know how I should handle things.
You didn't.
Before, but
relax. You're good, dude. You can't.
Hang on. No. Because I personally, I debated myself before I made the video. So what happened for anyone that doesn't know? Essentially, it was made aware. I think on Facebook. Those Facebook groups, bro.
Dude, they're like those people got to be like 43 years old.
100%, and they're just someone. And then I believe it was Games and Roses. He was on TikTok. He made TikTok about it, and then a bunch of people in my community sent me the DM of the TikTok, and it was someone had stumbled upon an old gen because the menus are so slow that they accidentally could switch your defenseman and put him on forward. It wasn't a glitch. It was legitimately like if you hit substitute on a forward and then hit R1, because the menu was a little bit slower, it lagged behind, it would allow you to choose your defenseman from the pool of players to switch it with. So you could have, if you went and replaced your right winger, you could put Chel on the right wing, and then you go to defense, and you do the same thing, and you go back a page, and you can put forwards on defense like it was. And people forget, this is legitimately how the game was from NHL 14 all the way up to 20. Like, that was what the game was. It was, you could put anyone you wanted on anywhere. Mm-hmm. And that's a whole other debate because I remember, can I say? Yeah, okay, I can say this. I remember when my very first trip out to EA, my only trip to Vancouver, before COVID and before when they actually did the trips, it was my first time as a game changer getting invited out there to test the game. And I remember sitting in a meeting and they brought up not allowing to play forwards on defense. And I was like, because I made a meme basically the whole year prior that I used Bernie Jeffrey on the back end, who's like 5'9", very good forward in his career, one of the best, but he had 99 slap shot accuracy and power, and this is like in November, like it was absurd. And I remember just blasting one-timers, like he was awful defensively.
Yeah,
you could just the problem with defenders is they have to hammer something, whether it's skating, shot, or size. They rarely have all three, and that's still the case. And because they have to, the way they're statted, it's just they can't keep up. Forwards can have all three of those, but then they relax in like some maybe body checking or defensive ability, something like that. And defensemen always seem to get the kind of the shaft there. And so putting forwards on the back end was always advantageous. And so this got made out, this got found, and then I made a video on it. Being like, hey guys, this is how you do it. I'm at a point now where there were so many bugs this year, and I just don't think this is a dev thing. Maybe this is a whole other discussion we'll get into because there's a lot of things to unpack here. As one, me and Kessler are game changers. Two, we're old. Like, we've been playing this game for a long time, but we also have a little bit, maybe a different view of, like, life and, like, work-life balance. And, you know, like, much different than maybe someone, if you're younger and you're in school and you've really had, like, a job where you got to work, 60 hours in a work week. Maybe you don't know yet. So there's a lot of things I want to talk about here. So I made it known and made a video, like, this is how you guys do it. Because I personally, when stuff like this happens, I remember early on in my YouTube career, showing glitches and things like this, very, very bad, because you get a lot of hate and things like that, and it's like you're showing everyone how to do all these glitches. I didn't think that this was a big glitch. Hey, I'll get into what ended up being bad about this, but putting your forwards on defense and defensive forwards, I didn't like that this small Facebook group had the advantage of, if they wanted to, put Mikhail Makar on forward because he's a much better forward than he is defender. I think we can all agree on that. Elite edges, 94 speed and acceleration, good shot. Like, Mikhail Makar is a phenomenal forward. I don't like when a small section of the community can do that to the casual guy that doesn't, have the same amount of access and 40 hours a week in the game. I think that everyone should be on the same playing field when it comes to stuff like that. But then you were able to do it with goaltenders. And that just made a mockery of the whole thing, because you put goaltenders in. They had 0 speed, but they couldn't be hit. And it didn't really give anyone an advantage. The people are like, I can't hit anyone. Everyone's just, like, if you can't, I replied to a Reddit thread about this. I'm like, if you can't pocheck a 0-speed player and knock the puck free, I got to make a video. I got to show you something. Like, I don't know what to tell you guys if that was the case. But it was a disaster. They had, like, no skates. It made the game really bad. And that wasn't my intention, because in the video, I don't show you how to do that. But the 4 ended up being, like, hilarious. I thought personally it was hilarious to see that.
Yeah.
The issue was, like, the devs, like, they fixed it within, like, 12 hours.
It was immediate, almost. Because I didn't even, Padre, I don't know what you were doing this weekend. I wasn't on the game whenever this was, like, in the game.
Yeah, I
miss everything.
I saw it on some people's streams. That's why I thought Sleazy was going to beat himself up at the beginning. Like, I shouldn't have said it. Like, dude, there were so many people that were showing it and doing it on stream, and I won't name names.
Yeah.
Not that it, like, matters. I just mean, like, everyone was kind of doing it. I was actually laughing, and normally I know I'm negative Nancy, and I'm like, this is so dumb, but, like, it was just funny seeing, like, Jordan Bennington.
I thought it was hilarious.
Jordan Bennington with no bucket and white skates and white gloves.
Dude, there was an Ottinger that had no skates.
Yeah, and they skated around like little, like, old ladies or something. Like, they were all bent over, and it was so funny.
I thought it was hilarious, but I got to give them credit. Holiday weekend. Devs have been working since the start of this game, and this is a whole other thing. The devs actually make the game. They, not the executives. Like, the devs that have been working on the game have been working nonstop to fix basically what was broken since it. And they came in on a holiday weekend and fixed it immediately. And that's their job, right? But, like, it was just like, I was impressed by that. Again, people don't see the ins and outs of and they kind of think that these devs are robots and they don't deserve a normal life.
Yeah, and there's, like, they're not real people behind. Like, yeah.
And it's like, you pay full price for a video game and you expect a full price worth of a video game, which is what I totally agree with the consumer, because this game is not worth full price. And that is where my issue is not with the developers. Like, I think I wish someone maybe leaves a sports game, a yearly sports game, and can just give people the actual layout of what happens in a year when you have to release a full AAA game in the span of a year. And I think the openness about it would make people be like, wow. You know what I mean? But the problem with that is, if they do that, like, people, they can't charge full price, because then once it's just tough. Like, you're in a very bad spot. And the people that write the checks, I think, are just like, I don't know, because, like I said, I don't think this game should have been charged for full price. I don't think people should have been charged full price. It was a game that they had to release in October because they have to. They have to meet a deadline. They had to release in October, and it should have been done in January. That's like my honest stance on it. I just think that's how it is. And they've been trying to play catch up, which concerns me about 24 now. Because every time that there's a bug and stuff like that, they got to take people off of what they're doing in the next game and go back and work on the old game. And it's tough. I hope to see less bugs. And but yeah, I like I said, brutal that was in the game, but props that they fixed it within 12 hours on a holiday weekend. That's nuts to me. Like, I was actually stunned that when I went in and it was, like, done. I think it was done by, like, 3 p.m. the next day. So good for them there. Let's move on to patch 1.03. So now there's a new patch that's going to be added into the game, and hopefully it all goes swimmingly. So patch 1.03 is crossplay. So we are finally getting the biggest back of the box feature of NHL 23. The big selling point of it, and this should be one of the best features ever added into NHL. I know it's not full crossplay, but it will go down eventually as, like, one of the biggest. So 1.03 comes. We got the content schedule. You guys saw it?
Dude, there were more phases than, like, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There was, like, 8 phases listed.
Yeah, phase 0 is, like, no modes. They could have just went to 1. So for anyone that hasn't seen it, basically what'll happen today, they released the update, and it took about 2 hours, I think. I got stuck. I couldn't play, so it was a little bit longer on PS5. But
yeah, so whenever they released it, you couldn't play, right?
Couldn't, no.
Dude, you would think the world ended. You would really think. Dude, so I'm sorry, but this is back on what we just talked about. The game was only down for 2 hours. I was at work today, so like I another thing, like I just missed it. But you like going on Reddit or going on Twitter, you would think that the worst thing in the world happened. Really, it was just down for a couple hours, and that's it.
This is the thing. So with a lives, I think this is a better conversation, better topic conversation. We are not defending EA's product they put out.
No. We shouldn't even have
awful.
to. No, but at this point, Sleaze, we shouldn't have to preface it by saying that.
True.
Because like I'm all Mr. Anti EA exec. Like clearly,
I think
I've been on my own pack strike this year. I tell people not to spend money on this game. I tell people it's not a full price game. But at some point, there's just complaining to complain because you're angry.
I think this is kind of, again, for all sports games.
Yeah.
I think it's a live service game, but you only pay once, and you expect from start to finish, the live series is always working at optimal at the optimal ability it can. And I think some people, not like the gaming industry as a whole, I think that is kind of an issue. Because a live service game requires developers that are constantly updating it, like the content team. Developers go back and fix old things that have been found out to be broken. And again, with a yearly release, that means there's so little time to QA test.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the big issue. Like we get the game.
I mean, we're the free QA testers, basically.
Exactly. That's what the game changers are. We're not even game changers.
We're not. We're glorified.
That was a terrible
testers.
Name. A terrible name picked 8 years ago because we do not change the game. We are glorified play testers at this point that are not paid, right? We get access to the developers to explain what the issues are that we are finding. That is really it. But I think that what people are now, they expect anytime that there's an interruption to live service, it's like, it's this awful thing that, that they demand perfection on something that is constantly going, right? This isn't like they're playing a story mode game, and once they've beaten the story mode, they've gotten their money's worth. Like if you bought Ragnarok, if you bought God of War Ragnarok, you played it start to finish, that's it. You aren't playing it anymore. With a live service game, you're getting way more hours out of than what you are for an offline game, right? So just food for thought, because I play this game for a living, and I had to sit on stream for today, for an hour and a half, and I just sat there. And was it frustrating? Yes. But if you have hatred, that much hatred, you got to channel it, fellas. Go to the gym,
Rub one out. Do something.
Yeah, exactly. Do something.
Hey, well, you guys, you better get ready because there's 4 more times they're gonna do it.
Yeah. So because the new patch. We'll start with the new content, the new schedule for this patch. It comes out, and I believe HUT Rush and One's Eliminator. One's Eliminator might actually be a mode you can play now because there's crossplay on it. That's the first 2, and then 4 days later, it's like EASHL drop-ins and 6v6, and then it's 3v3s, and then HUT Champs, and then at the end on November 28th, it's the big one. That's when Rivals goes. And so I think that's intelligent, because I think if they just try to flip the switch and put on everything, huge percentage chance for everything to break. Mm-hmm. Because it worked pretty well in that weird tech test that no one knew about that randomly popped up right before the game launched. And oh, bang! It worked. Like, I was stunned by that. It worked. We played Rivals in the beta, right?
Yeah, we did, and it was like great. I don't remember any connection. I have more connection issues on like PS5 against other PS5 users right now than what that was.
Is there a chance that this is shattered? Huge. Like it is.
I would say at least 30% chance.
At least 30%. But the thing I've said since the start is that no matter what, this will work, because if this breaks at any point, this is a all hands on deck immediately. Everything gets pulled back.
Yeah.
It's not like, we'll fix the issue on another patch. This is like, this has to work. So I'm excited for that. Now, HUT Champs starts. Padre, you are someone that, as a shot at, you're a top 100 HUT Champ player every single week. with what HUT for anyone that doesn't know, HUT Champs matchmaking has been broken since the launch of the game because this also came in patch 1.03. It was the other big thing. HUT Champs matchmaking is now fixed. You are now going to match up with players that you should have matched up with based on your skill or based on how you're performing. So if you are 13-0, no longer are you going to get the guys that are 2-9. You are going to get guys that are closer to 13-0. Are you for this? Against it? What are you amped? What?
Yeah, I mean it's the most competitive game mode, so it should be the most competitive game mode. I know what Kessa's going to say about the matchmaking, which I tend to agree with. When it's hard to find matches, hopefully crossplay fixes that search time.
That's what I said.
And if it does, then everything's fine because it should be the most competitive game mode. I saw so many people replying to my tweet because I keep reposting the LeBron James gift. It's about damn time, you know what I mean? Just kidding around, and but people replying to me, this defeatist mentality of just, why do I have to play people that are good? Oh my gosh, it was so much fun playing bad. And it's like, what is going on? If that's your mindset, then don't play HUT Champs. Go play Rivals. And I know Rivals, if you're in Div 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and Rivals, you'll play Div 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and Rivals. So, or go play HUT Rush. Go play Versus. I mean, there's so many different, I'm not saying there's a million modes, but there's so many different avenues you can go play still and not have to play Kesso and Gren and whoever. I mean, I don't understand this whole thing of people complaining about it. It's, listen, if they kept it the way it was and there was win-based rewards, I would probably be fine with that too. Because then, for example, I disconnected this past weekend. I was 8-0 or 7-0. Immediately, I'm done. 15 wins, that's it. It's over. So, but if I didn't have that, we had win base, I could get 19 wins and I could get good rewards. But
to put it in context, for anyone that doesn't realize this, that maybe new to HUT Champs, whatnot, there was the full top 100 leaderboard on PS5 has been 20-0 for the last 3 weeks. Maybe 5 people on the entire console go 20-0. So when it works, so that's for people that don't really understand, that's the issue that's been happening, yes. Right? Kesso, what were you say?
So I've been enjoying it. I've been enjoying the matchmaking. It goes against everything I've stood for the past 15 years. And the only reason is because I search for a game and I get one instantly, right? I stream for 6 to 8 hours a week max. Fits my schedule perfectly. Am I what?
Hey, are you happy that you could get your games done?
That's what I'm happy. I think I'm happy I can get my games done.
Is that a good thing?
So
listen to what you just said. It's a video game, and you're happy that your games are done. Is that a
no? So
entirely?
No, not at all. Because I'm enjoying myself. They're low stress games, dude. I think I just became a different person from who I was. Right? They're low stress games. I can interact with my chat the whole time, on Twitch. It's enjoyable. But even understanding that and saying that, it's the quintessential competitive mode in Hockey Ultimate Team. It should be skill-based matchmaking. Hopefully with cross-platform or cross-play, whatever, it fixes those search time issues. I still don't have hope.
My fear is
I don't have
for
hope.
HUT Champs.
What?
Specifically for HUT Champs, there is this isn't just for NHL. This is any video game. This is human psychology. We are basically bred to find the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just normal life. So I don't flame just the NHL community, but this is everything in a video game. What I have a feeling is going to happen, if there is a way on Xbox at least, because I know on MLB, me and Padre talked about this, to turn off crossplay.
Yeah, I was wondering
anyone that is a HUT champ, has the potential to go top 100, they're going to turn that off.
So because I think it'd be more likely to happen on Xbox than PlayStation, because I think PlayStation has more top end,
depth, but less.
No, I think PlayStation has more top end talent. Xbox has a ton more depth. I think
it's the opposite.
Dude, I mean, there's Regs and Gren on PlayStation.
You're thinking could win GWC.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking for me, selfishly, 20-0.
Good HUT heroes that could take a game off of you guys. There is many more on PlayStation than Xbox, I would think. But what I think is, I think that if you take the guys that have a shot at GWC, there's roughly the same amount on each console. If we're talking 10 to 20 people on each console. But I think that the guys that have a shot to take a game off those guys, there's 150 on PlayStation, whereas maybe there's 50 on Xbox.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You also have to understand that Euros are not on Xbox.
Correct.
So Padre, I think was going to say that. What you have to factor in, the leaderboard on PlayStation 5 is way harder for North Americans because you have Euros that are very good. Like the major European player base is on PlayStation. It is not on Xbox. It's a barren wasteland on Xbox. So the Xbox guys that are going top 100 on HUT Champs, they just have to play North Americans against
that's how they're rated against. I mean, I think it should have been separated too, like years ago. Like we're getting into this, Padre. We've talked about this for 4 years now since we started playing HUT again in like NHL 19. EUs in North America shouldn't be on the same one.
It's not like you're going into the player base, so it's like if you separate them, it's not like, now our player pool is even smaller, right? Yeah. It's like, dude, you're never matching them. So like,
it impacts? I guess it impacts the economy if you're giving out double top.
Well, you know how you fix it? You put in win-based rewards. I mean, it's pretty simple. That's the only way to fix it. I think win-based rewards is a must for HUT Champs in the future. I would love it. It would fix a lot of issues. You wouldn't have guys missing top 20. Like, I missed top 20, I remember 2 years ago on PlayStation. I go to bed and I was 14, 13. I was 19-1, and I go to bed and the West Coast kids would win trade each other, and all of a sudden I'm 21 by the time I wake up, just because of them, messing around. And I was going back to your guys' comment about the depth. Since I played both multiple years, I think Xbox has more depth because of the fact that there's LG 6s on Xbox. And all those kids out there, 6v6 guys that complain about 1v1 all the time. I don't even want to hear it. You have better HUT teams than me. You've played more than me, and they all complain about it. It's the weirdest concept. It's like, I don't complain about 6s and then go play it all day long. So it always cracks me up.
Well, they need something to play whenever LG's
exactly. So it's just always funny because, I mean, people forget that LG community, and kudos to Tris and Brody, is huge. And the main console that people...
That's the backbone of the NHL community right there.
It really is. It'd be cool to see...
It holds up a lot of people that people don't understand.
Yeah. It'd be cool to see if EA ever had something in-game kind of partnership with them down the line, like in 2047 or something, because...
They are very... they are very... Like if LG needs something, like their API track. For anyone that doesn't know what League Gaming is, you will shortly, because Tris is the one that is helping me build my site, which is like very slowly coming along, and it looks like December it might actually happen. So for anyone that doesn't know, I'm making my own HUT database website. I'm very excited about it. There's a lot of new stuff that we're putting in, and Tris is just a masterclass of his abilities in terms of like website design and tech and stuff like that. But what they built is you basically have an online career where you can go in the CHL, you get bid on by a real person, you have real 16-man rosters, you play a full season in the CHL, you play enough of those, the next season you can get drafted in the NHL. I got drafted in the first round by Carm to Vancouver.
Oh, and don't you worry, you get the real GM and ownership treatment in that league. There's some guys. Oh yeah. There's some guys out political. there. There's some guys out there that think they are real GMs. Like, I remember there are guys that would call us into like a party chat back in the day on 360, and you're like, "Oh, listen, we're gonna have to move you over to Vancouver."
They treat it like it's like really your.
I owned on PlayStation in the NHL, and I was very hands off. Like, whenever someone had a problem, I just laugh and be like, "Fellas, like, let's relax here." But no, it's very serious, and that's like that isn't a bad thing. It's not a knock. It's what they've made is crazy.
Awesome.
So, if you are interested in playing 6v6 and knowing what that's like, go and take a look at League Gaming.
But, hey, one more. I wanted to add in one thing before we go to this next topic. I'm having fun with the game this year. Okay, like I enjoy NHL 23 more than I think I did 22 and 21. And do you know why?
You reduced the amount of hours?
I reduced the hours a little bit. I'm not following the releases of the cards, so I'm not getting mentally sucked into always thinking I need the next best card. I'm not watching shit.
Completely ruining my.
No, I know, right? I know, Sleaze, I'm ruining. I know people don't, but like I'm doing this stuff. You actively talk about that. I'm doing that, and I just don't. I care about winning, but I'm having fun playing. Like I'm scoring different ways. And I think people burn themselves out way too much. Maze is one of our friends.
Yes.
In here. I know I'm ruining your business model here.
No. You're go ahead.
Maze is one of our friends. He was in my chat like this weekend or something. He's like, I have like 8.5 hours a day, he said. And I'm thinking like, dude, this game's not made for that. Like, you are gonna burn yourself out. You're gonna be miserable. And then people come into my chat like, "Oh, what's the next car?" You know, like that. I'm having fun because I'm not paying attention. Like, I'm just using the players I like or the players I get untradeable, and it's way more
I will be
enjoyable.
very, very curious when one, HUT Champs goes back to normal matchmaking and you get matched up against guys you're supposed to be matched up against. And
Maybe.
two, when GWC comes around and you're getting
I
flooded.
don't have
I'm very
any. I
curious
don't
to
have
see.
any hopes for that this year.
Yeah, that I don't care. You don't take the desire to win out of someone.
That's true. That's true. Maybe.
It will come up, and I'm just curious to see. Again, we'll revisit that topic because I think that's very
Well, you
interesting.
will. We will.
I play this game for a living, and I'm not burned out because I'm having so much more. I enjoy playing no money spent. Like I have a team.
Yeah, that's what maybe
The
that's
Ferrari,
what it is for me.
I joke. I got the Ferrari in the garage, and when I play my HUT Champs run on that, it's like it makes me appreciate the team more. But there's no team. There's no one to chase, right? So that's boring. Like when you play, if you go and play franchise mode, and let's say you're trying to do a master class, right? And you trade for everyone, you have the perfect draft, and you have first 2 seasons, and you're on rookie mode, and it's like forced trades are on. It's like, man, without a challenge, humans just don't care. We don't care. Like you lose interest, right? So when you have this team, like I load into this team and I'm looking at it, I'm like, I have no one to go after. I don't care. And then it's like, oh, I got to play my rivals games to get packs and get cards that I don't.
Yeah.
I can't get anyone to replace anyone on my team. But no money spent. My new editor, he basically handles all my no money spent videos, and I just get him. I play on stream. I have this team I'm trying to build, and it's way more enjoyable.
Isn't it so much more fun doing that?
It is way more because every time you pull something, you're like, oh my god, dude! If I pulled an 89 OEL right now on my God Squad, I'd be like, sick, 250,000 coins.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, what do I save that for? Gretzky, I guess. Like it's just like it's not the same. If you're no money spent, there's a challenge behind it. And I also think it's the way you're scoring. I love going for tip shots. I've become good at it, and it is so satisfying to set up a play at the point, and instead of just going for the same D-to-D one-timer or the same short side wrister that's been in the game since 2008, the tip shots, you have no idea if it's going to go in.
It's so great.
There's no way to defend it when you set it up correctly, and it's just chaos. Like, it's just utter chaos, and I think that's fun. Like, I think it's hilarious when you score those goals.
Yeah.
We before we go on to the next thing, I want to get your feedback. Like, how do you feel about we've talked about glitch goals being in the game, and I personally think it's because there's really no skill gap in this game that without glitch goals, you get NHL 22, where you lose games where you feel like you should win because there's a lot of just hockey. And from a hockey standpoint, and players that don't play Division 1 and 2, I think that they enjoyed it a little bit more than someone who plays a bit higher because, again, it's very tough to enjoy a game when you lose. Like, there's just, like, you know what I mean? Very often, not very often do you lose a game. You're like, wow, that was a good game of Chel. You know?
Good game. Let me send a GG message.
Yeah, that was a barn burner. And every so often, I have those. Usually it's with people that I know in the community. But, like, man, it's with glitch goals allow if someone's skill zoning, for example, right? A glitch goal eliminates that because, they want to sit in the middle, not move, and allow you take their defensive skill completely out of it. Some of the glitch goals, goal line shots, things like that eliminates that because they have to actively defend it. How do you feel about the wrap?
It hasn't been scored on me. And I've played good players.
Either because I know it. I know it's coming.
Yeah, like I don't think I mind it.
I think a lot of the player base doesn't know how to defend it.
Dude, I am amazed because I see that and I see the Pogues goal, and people and people will 22. Yeah, so people post a clip on like Reddit or something, right? And they're like, "How do I stop this? I don't know how." Not blaming them; they're inexperienced players. I'm not making fun of them. And they're just parking a guy in front of the net, so they're giving this person tons of space behind. They're basically letting him like Wayne Gretzky office it behind the net. I'm thinking like just go in between. Cut them off. There's things you can do.
You know where the end point is.
Yeah, and it's just because we're losers and we've played 5,000 hours the past however many years.
If you know where the end point is, go there, and you're confident. Like how many times on straight I get a kick. Like I'll play dudes that are far better than me, but if they don't know Like if they don't know a certain way to score and their only way is really that glitch wrap, like the wraparound, like I'll let them have 20 minutes TOA.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'll just sit there. I'm like, yo, you're not enjoying yourself. You're bored because I'm bored. Like you know what I mean? Like
I get angry when people do that. I've had some bad experiences recently because I call it out, and then like I call it out to like somebody I like that I'm playing against, but yeah.
But all right, so patch coming fixes HUT chance matchmaking, which is a W, and crossplay. It's clear. I can't wait to see how that goes. All right, let's talk about Alumni. Padre, I want to get your thoughts. Alfie's in the game. That's a pretty big. I feel like that's a bigger one. Like we haven't got a huge Alumni added in the game in a while. Is Alfie a big one or no?
I mean, yeah, like what? Arguably the most famous Senators player ever, right? I mean,
yeah, gotta be.
Yeah, gotta be, right? So, that's cool for those fans and in Swedish hockey, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Did you care about? Do you like when you think Ottawa? Do you think Alfredson and Yashin? You're the same age as me, roughly. Like a couple years.
I think.
You're not from Niagara.
Yeah, I think of him. I think of Spezza. I think of Heatley when he was there when they had the year. I think of Ray Emery. Rest in peace.
Dude, that team they had that year, insane.
Yeah, Volchenkov, just a great hockey name.
Yeah.
So
did they have Vermette that year too?
Vermette. Yeah, they were a wagon.
Team. Chris Phillips, like that. Yeah, that team is. I'm curious. So we're going off topic here, but so being from Niagara, right? I was like a Toronto fan before I was able to watch good hockey, and I found the Sharks. Like when you were 10 to 13. Who are the players that because this is before, guys, so again, we're going to date ourselves here, but we're all born in the early 90s. This is before the NHL app and you could watch any game you could. Like, I don't know about you, but there was not a lot of out of market that you could watch, so what you lived around is pretty much what you got. Who are the teams and players that you, disliked the most? Padres, how are you? Because you're from Missouri. Like, you're in a player. Not a lot of people that I've maybe that.
So being a Blues fan back when the Red Wings were in the Western Conference, it was the Red Wings. I hated Kirk Maltby. I hated Thomas Holmstrom. I hated.
Yeah, you didn't see them.
I hated Chris Draper. They were our biggest rival because they were good and we were always really good too. We just never did anything in the playoffs. We had Pronger, McInnes, Dimitra.
People don't know this. 25 straight seasons.
25 straight seasons.
Made the playoffs.
And the only reason why it stopped is because our owner went to a strip club and lost all of his money and investing in wrong things and had to sell the team and stripped it all the way down. Chris Pronger for Eric Brewer, you name it. I could tell you the whole thing. It's brutal. But I hated them. And, and then as I got a little bit older into high school and stuff, it became the Blackhawks, obviously, with Patrick Kane and Taves and just because they win, right? And we played them all the time, and they beat us to go to the cup a few times, and a little bit for the LA Kings too, I guess. Because Jonathan Quick and Doughty, they just always seem to stump us too. But yeah.
When you think of Dallas Stars, what do you think of?
When I think of Dallas Stars, I think of Madonna. I think of Marty Turco.
Marty Turco,
yeah, because I was a goalie, obviously Turco.
You gotta go Eddie Balfour,
Brendan Morrow,
yeah, Langenbrunner, Stu Barnes, Steve Ott.
I wish this would be the greatest technology ever invented. Imagine they could take old games and put them in the graphics of current. Imagine they took real life hockey or real life sports and they could reimagine it as maybe the video game gets that big. Could you imagine if that's the future of sports games? I am sad. I was never. This is how I when I remember hockey, when it was two teams that I was not a fan of, and I can remember the I want to say Vancouver and Dallas playoff series where Luongo and Turco traded shutouts for 6 of the 7 games. I think it was.
Yeah.
It was, and I mean Edmonton and Dallas always had these insane playoff series. That were it was always a Western Conference. It was they always hit hard.
What about the Sharks? Sharks in Dallas when the Bakov robbed on the back door. Remember that glove save?
That was a tough one. That's an all-time save of all time in my opinion. But man, we're old.
He was criminally underrated, by the way, Nabokov. I always thought he was
100%.
very.
He won the Calder. No one remembers that. He won the Calder trophy.
He was really good. He stumped us a few times too in the playoffs.
What about you? My first year being a fan, I became a fan when they played Colorado in the conference semifinals. They knocked out St. Louis in the quarterfinals in the conference quarterfinals. When you think of when you were a kid, like 10 to 15, who were the players and teams that you remember that like you had to respect because they were good, but you didn't like them?
I hated this might be like 8 to 12 was the Devils. The Penguins ran into them. I think it was Lemieux's return. The year he came back, and they were they were so good that year, the Penguins, and they ran into that Devils team they were so deep. I think it might have been Scotty Gomez's like rookie year, but they had Arnott, Elias, and Sakura maybe on that one line. But they had Bobby Holik. I hated him. I was like a kid, so I'm like, he's so ugly. You know, like I was just angry. And dude, he was like Holik was amazing. Looking back on him now as an adult, I'm like, he was a great player.
One thing that I hate that about like my growing up as a hockey fan is like I never, unless you, again, same situation, because before the NHL app and the ability and the internet really, I couldn't. I remember watching my only Mario Lemieux memories is with Crosby,
which is crazy because it was just like 22 or 26 games that year. I forget how many it was.
That is like because like when I was a kid, even though Toronto played in the Eastern Conference against the Penguins, I don't think they were the same division, and you didn't see them a lot. Like same with Gretzky. Like I remember where I was with my dad at a bar. We were at this like Lions Hall thing that he was like, it was his baseball teams. And I remember watching his like final game with the Rangers. But same thing. Like I never got to, dude, when you were growing up, was Gretzky huge when he got traded? Like, do you remember that when you were a kid?
When the Blues got Gretzky?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember it. And I have a freak memory with stuff like this, but I remember watching the Yzerman goal bar down on John Casey in my grandparents' living room when Wayne Gretzky.
That's what I love about sports.
Wayne Gretzky was kind of milking it on the back check too. If you remember,
he really was.
It's crazy. And it's funny. I actually, with the alumni with the Blues here, John Casey lives here, so it's like he was the guy that got sniped by Yzerman, which is, it's honestly like, it was a great shot, but
that's a bad goal.
You can't let him go that far away.
You can't let that in.
He just flung his arm up. That's all. If you guys remember, the reason why he was playing is because Fuhrer got taken out by Nick Kyprios, which is a famous thing. And I was going to say this about hockey. I love hockey. I still watch it all the time. There's fun games that happen. You know, you look forward to, like we'll talk about on the Real Hockey Podcast, the Eichel return to Buffalo. There's just, you don't have those moments as much anymore. Like I feel like the closest thing we had recently was like the Tkachuk and Cassian thing. You know what I mean? Where it was like, oh my gosh, this is brewing.
Now, do you think that's like nostalgia though? Like looking back on it, because I agree with you completely.
I think it's the style of play because there's not as much the physicality. Like at the end of the day, like I know the CTE people out there. I get it. Like trust me, my old coach passed away from he committed suicide, and Todd Ewing was his name. He had CTE when they found it in his brain, and he fought many years in the NHL. And I know it's like a real thing, so I'm not like knocking that kind of stuff. But when hockey was more physical, more fights, more just cheap shots and dirty plays, and now you just don't see as much. So like the Tkachuk thing was the closest thing, and we were all. I mean, you had people that didn't even know who Zach Cassian was, probably like excited to see him and Tkachuk maybe fight, and just the whole buildup of it.
I think. I mean, this is a whole other topic, but like hockey is like a whole, man. Like it's the sport that has easily changed the most of the last 20 years. Like in football, there's it's just contact. It's contact against quarterbacks, really.
Yeah.
And that's drastically changed like the outlooks of some games and whatnot. But like you still get like the Odell Beckham catch. I mean, Jefferson just had a catch that was absolutely insane. You can have those huge moments, and because the way football is played, the Minnesota Buffalo game, I don't mind the Bills, but like I don't like the Vikings, and it's like I sat there like Jesus, like that's gonna be a game I remember watching probably for like the next like 30 years. In hockey, yeah, like there is not the same rivalries, and I think that physicality is like easily like you remove like the big goals and moments are big for like the moment, but like the physicality drags. When you watch a fight in hockey, if you're a fan of that team, man, you want your dude to absolutely label that. Like I understand if you're against it. Personally, if two willing combatants, if you see a dude there's no other sport where a guy can get absolutely blindsided, and you have the ability legally to go and handle it.
You got to answer the bell. Yeah,
you got to answer the bell. Like and
unless you're Austin Matthews.
Yeah. Oh.
And hey, let's talk about. I want to talk about that on the podcast. On the other one, I want to talk about the Matthews thing because that was a hot topic.
Okay. We're getting way off topic, and we have to record the real life one too. So, all right, alumni, real quick. So, he's got to get an MSP.
Alfie?
I thought
Yeah.
he was already going to get one. Like, I think Alfie is going to get an MSP because it was so weird. He was in the alumni list, and that's such a big one to like not announce, right? Because like I don't know if you understand, but I just thought that like maybe the next event or maybe the milestones event was like, oh, he, easy way to give him an MSP card.
Is Luongo, is he okay? So he's not. I would like to see
a lot of people
an event where you could get both Sedines by doing a set or something like an MSP. I think it'd be cool because there are a few. I think it was a few years ago they had the MSP Sedines, but you had to get like one or I can't remember, like you had to get like both.
Oh
of them
yeah, one
separate.
of the. It was like the dynamic duos one, I think.
You know what I'm surprised?
Yeah.
About? They did it with Terra Vine. I'm surprised they didn't do the flashback Sedines. Like for this, you know what I mean? Like, cause that I don't know if they should keep doing it, but like that would have been kind of fitting.
Yeah.
Instead of releasing like the headshot Sedines, it's like I hate headshots, man. I can't stand the headshot cards. I think there's very, very little ways to actually make it look good. And but I think that would have been interesting if they would have done the dynamic duos from that NHL 20.
Yeah,
21, I think.
I think it might have been 21.
I think it was
might have
20.
been 20. Yeah, that's a long time ago. Because there was like 2.0, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
So like it was in multiple games, but yeah, the Sedines would have been a good one, I think, if they just would have thrown that back in there. So I don't know. Who's a alumni, real quick, guys? Give me one that needs to be in the game next.
Give me
Alexei
Kovalev immediately. That'd be the best one.
I think you say Alexei Kovalev, and I think like Montreal.
I know, right? But he had a few stints. Like he was like Pittsburgh, Montreal, New York.
It's so cool that we're from different. We're not even that far away. But like again, that's why I was bringing up like who were your teams that you hated when you were a kid. I hated Ottawa and I hated Philly as a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, and you guys hated. I couldn't care less about New Jersey. I thought they were kind of cool because Brodeur and their logo looked cool. And then same thing with like Stewie. Like I didn't care about the Red Wings, so I was a Sharks fan. Like I just did, and it's funny to see like how the difference is. But Kovalev would be a great one. What about you, Stewie?
Dude, I can't think of one right now. I don't know why. They have a lot of them.
There's gotta be, dude. You have so many.
I know, but they do have a lot of them in the game that I'm thinking of already. I give them credit, I mean,
this is on. By the way, guys, this is not on EA. They put out the ask to all of the guys you want. So everyone's like, "Wow, why is Hashtag not in the game?" They send Hashtag's representation. Hey, sign this, you'll be in the game. And they just.
He used to be in the game too. It's kind of crazy how it comes and goes like that. He was in the game. I can't remember what year it was because I remember
19, I think, or 18.
Yeah,
18.
19. Yeah, it was the last year because Heatley was too.
Yeah.
There's one. Give me Heater again. I love Heater.
Heater would be great. Mine is. I would love when they added Jerome McGinley. That was big because he's one of my favorite players of all time. I have his up on the wall. Vinny LeCavalier. So that's.
See, and I was trying to think of guys that aren't that recent. You know what I mean? Like further back that that would be cool to see pop in the game. I guess that was what I was more.
Bobby Orr.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Bobby Orr is the answer.
That's a good one.
I think.
Yeah.
What ability would he have?
Relentless. The diving one with the double.
Elite.
How mad would people get if you
elite
put out the Bobby Orr
edges?
Bro.
Probably wheels or elite edges. Probably.
Yeah,
he'd have to have everything.
Dude, even the icon is him diving though. It's like definitely relentless.
Yeah.
It's 100%. That's it. That would be a great one though. I think Bobby. I think of all the old players,
Scott Stevens.
He was in the game
too. Yeah.
Really? God, he would.
Paul Correa.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm trying from our childhood. Like the one missing is like Korea, right? Like that was everyone was like, dude, we all love Korea because of the Super Mighty Duck movies.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I think like every kid, if you were born in the early 1990s, guys, like at one point went through a Mighty Duck phase. Like I had a starter jacket. I couldn't tell you who was on the team. But then like when you get old enough,
go back and watch those movies now. It's so funny. Like
dude, they are all
they're so you just find like little things you're like, wait, wasn't Charlie Conway like no, it was Adam Banks, like he was a righty and then he became a lefty in the middle of the scene? Like how did that happen? I just like it's always so funny, like I just pick like weird things like that out. Or how they go no bucket. On the spin around the circle before the penalty shot, like it's like what in the world? Like you could never do no bucket at that age.
No, there's a lot of those movies that are brutal, but man, it was the commentating that sold it. It was so good.
Bob Miller,
like
right?
It's Bob, and it like legit sounds like a real thing. Like it was that.
How about Team USA? Like round 1, they played Trinidad and Tobago in D2 Mighty Ducks. It's like how did they come up with that country to get it?
They score and they start playing the drums.
Yeah, they're playing dude sick. If they put those uniforms in the game, I would rock those. Those were,
dude, it's tie-dye.
yeah, they were sick. God,
and like instead of like, I don't know if it was like an IHF thing, but like they had to come up with like an evil country, and they were like, let's land on Iceland.
Iceland. Dennis the Wolf Stanson.
Which is like fully like green, like you know what I mean? Like it's like, but it's ice in it. Like,
hey, I give that movie credit. Good jerseys. Even Iceland's were sick. Great jerseys.
Yeah. Dude, We Will Rock You comes on when they come out with the duck jerseys in the third period. Oh, man.
Dude, Goldberg is in the goaltending is just atrocious, too. I watched that. Gunnar Stahl on the penalty shot.
The goalie! And he's like, I'm zoning.
I always just think of like the lines from the movie. Let's go shake their hands.
Yeah, dude. Oh, dude, it's Eki and versus Junior Penn. Yeah. I have a tweet, Kessler, that you'd be so proud of from 2018. GWC tweeted out in 2018 that the finals was Junior Penn's versus Eki. I'm like, we've already seen this, and it was with Gunnar Stahl and like Adam Banks inside my dude. It's an all-time.
Dude, we could do this for like 10 hours. we're like dating ourselves.
Anyways. All right, the last topic I want to talk about real quick is bi-yearly release in sports games. So we talked about it earlier that the development teams for sports games, not just EA and NHL, what they go through is these like crunch times, man. I would be willing to bet that a majority of them haven't had a vacation in like a week-long vacation where they didn't have to do anything in like years. But they have to go through in the gaming industry as a whole. What do you think if this always comes up, like, would you take a live service game because it would allow them to work more on a game? Like, would you think that would actually work?
Yeah, it would. If it would work in NHL and I know we're going to talk about it, they would have to cut out or admit that they would only update like franchise mode, be a pro, like the offline stuff, maybe like every 3 to 4 years, right? They couldn't really reinvent that stuff every year. And if they would just have to reimagine what Ultimate Team is, right? If it's like a biannual release, there would just have to be adjustments to pace that out for 2 years.
I would love to see what it would look like if everything went into like for one. Like, it's tough because I don't think you could ever remove the offline modes. But if you took all the developers' time and effort and put it into Hockey Ultimate Team World of Chel, I'd be interested to see if that game would flop or not. And a lot of people would be like, dude, without franchise mode. And I get that because franchise mode in video games is what I played for almost my entire life. Like every year, I still play about 100 hours of franchise mode by just like play because it's like I enjoy it, right? But what I'm curious is, again, answer in the comments down below. If it was bi-yearly and it was full live service, a lot like what MLB The Show is, where it's all their effort and money goes and focus blatantly goes into Ultimate Team, and the content is great. Gameplay in MLB has been awful, but let's pretend it's good. And the content is what it is in MLB The Show. That's something in NHL we drastically crave, but they don't have the resources to do it because they're spreading them out all like 7 different modes. Even though they don't see a lot of updates, so the problem is they can't update all the modes. What if they released a Be a Pro and franchise mode game, not separately, like those two are included in it, for $30 every year? Like, do you think that would satisfy both markets?
100%. I do actually. I do, and I know it's surprising, but they're not changing enough things in those modes anyway, right? I don't know if it was last year or the year before they made those updates to Be a Pro where they had the text.
It was like 3 years ago now.
Yeah, right. And that's the last time there's actually been something that moved the needle in Be a Pro mode. So the people that only play Be a Pro in franchise mode are paying $60 to $100 right now a year to play those. Instead,
and what's messed up is when new bugs come up. What people don't realize, when bugs come up in those modes, they got to pull guys off of whatever they're doing to go fix that. That isn't just magically like, and it's like fixed like that. That's not how it works.
I don't even know what's new in those this year. Excuse me, I'm yawning now. It's late.
Really, really not much, man.
Yeah,
there is
I
really
don't know.
not much at all. So I'd be curious. I feel like because the people that write the checks, and it's a business, so don't get me wrong. Like I understand that. Like it's a business. The object of them is to make money because it is a business. For the consumer, that usually ends up sucking, but that's the case. You can't go to a bi-yearly release like every other year with a sports game because you like that company, like EA, 2K, whatever, would lose a ton of money because every year we're gonna shell out $100. It's $100 for a game now. $100 every single year. And, you know, if they didn't do that, and let's say it was like season pass mode, and it's like $20 for season pass, the amount of people that would buy it at launch and then not buy the season passes, let's say you bought it at launch for $20, you wouldn't pay the other 80 throughout the year to keep it all upgraded all the way to the end. You would lose a dramatic amount of money from a business standpoint. But I think that would be awesome as a consumer.
Could you do an ESHL only game too? Like a separate game where it's only like club? We've talked about this a long time ago in the past where it's like that way you could do, I feel like, something separate, if that makes sense.
I'm sure you could, but then I think you're convoluting because I think that you have to have enough in a game to sell for full price. Like if EA told me that they are not, again, I'm selfish because it's my job. It's the only thing I really find interesting right now. Obviously, franchise and be a pro I still like. I wish they were improved year over year, but they're not. So it's like if the game only had World of Chel and HUT and all the developers put all their time into it, I would love to see what that game would look like. And they just ignored it. And people are going to be like, well, they don't touch it anyways. It's like, again, when they make a new game, they can't just like copy and paste it over. Like there are bugs that come up. Be a Pro has like new bugs that they've just like, franchise mode has new bugs like because it's roster based. Rosters brick the game. Like every mode. Like when there's an issue with a roster, like a player's like malfunctioning or they don't have it, it will lose your save files. It will brick HUT. Like it will just stop the game from playing online. So when that happens, they've got all hands on deck to fix that kind of stuff. And I think if they removed it and made it separate, and it's like $30, here's franchise mode, and be a pro. I'm curious how that would work because I think that would offset the cost of what the executives would be like. We're not doing a bi-yearly release, right? Yeah. That's why I tweeted this out too. I'm like, I wonder what UFC fans. You get a game every 2 years, right? And I'm wondering if do you hate that or do you like? What if they gave you
there's how often are there UFC events?
Every month.
Okay. Once a month, right? Mm-hmm. But fighters alternate, so it's like big fighters have 3 fights a year.
Yeah.
Is there really that much changing year over year in UFC where it could ever warrant
not like roster?
Yeah.
Not like that, but I'm talking about the new features and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what the thoughts are from the community in that aspect. But all right, guys, that is that was a shock. We went on a couple tangents.
Yeah,
I'm all for the tangents, though.
Yeah. Once again, though, shout out to Gamersaloon for sponsoring the podcast. Me and Padre have deep history there. We love the website. We love the business. We love the people there too.
Love the money too.
We love the money too. Thank God for the money. If you want to get better at the game, go on there. I've said this before. If you put $50 in, play some $5 matches, play some good players, you're going to get 10 times the amount of value out of that than you will playing Rivals or HUT Champs. Because all the good players are on there.
Yeah.
So gamersaloon.com, the links in the description.
I think the main thing to take away from this episode too is you guys are the biggest bootlickers in this community. Going back to the,
okay.
I gotta help out the people in the comments that are gonna be mad about you guys talking about the Game Changer program.
I know.
Oh my god. All right, well, fellas, thank you guys again for listening, and we'll be back with the Real Hockey Podcast. Thank you guys again for listening. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.